Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We are just going to give a few minutes, let some other people join, and we'll get started. I just wanted to display this quick little image for you guys, just so you kind of know how to navigate this webinar. So to your right, you should see a question box. This is where you can ask Zach and I questions, and then if you want to react or leave, you can do so here. All right. Again, we'll just give a couple more minutes. So glad everybody could join us. If you have questions already, feel free to pop them in there. And we'll get started in just a few.
See a couple more people trickling in. I assume everyone can see the screen. If you're having any difficulties, just feel free to also pop in a question. Also be monitoring that throughout the event, hopefully answering them live.
All right. I think we'll go ahead and just get it kicked off. We are recording this, so if anybody misses this tidbit here, they'll have it in the recording. Welcome, everyone. This is UpKeep's first live webinar that we're doing to engage with all of you customers in regards to a lot of the same questions, topics, features that you guys all generally ask us. So we're hoping to use these as a way to engage with all of you, get questions answered in a live format, as well as be able to deep dive and show you guys how UpKeep is working these days and all the new features. For this first one, we've decided to go with analytics, i.e. our reporting in UpKeep. This is kind of a big one for a lot of the customers in regards to leveraging and showing the data that you want. So with that, welcome. And your hosts today are my amazing self, Candice. Chatted with a lot of you guys throughout the last couple of years here. So my role here is one of the success managers. I'm here to help you guys leverage the system, deep dive features, upgrade, expand, things of those natures. So I'm here for all the questions. Zach, my lovely, amazing coworker here, he's going to be monitoring the chat and kind of posting questions to me, so as we go through, I can get those answered. His role here is to help lead the customer success team, and he does it fabulously. So everybody give a shout out to Zach because he's awesome.
Thank you. It's very kind.
All right. Our agenda today, we're going to kind of just kick off with an overage of what analytics is. Then we're just going to jump right in to UpKeep and reporting how-tos. We'll go over a few best practices, and then we're going to leave time to do kind of live Q&A, so I can hopefully show how to do some things as you guys ask questions. So if you haven't, I would ask that you log into your UpKeep account if you wanted to follow along and be able to kind of do some of the report building that we'll be doing in here. All right, so analytics and reporting is our way to basically give you kind of real-time intelligence on asset, work order, and cost trends across your system. So it's designed to help you see who's working on what, how much time is it taking to do what, and can I show the higher ups that we need replacement of equipment, or we're working efficiently and we're meeting quotas and inspections that need to be done. So kind of some of the main points we want to, with reporting, help you guys reduce costs and achieve the full useful life of your assets and generate savings. We also would like to provide intuitive data that you can provide to your higher ups, and then hopefully prevent unnecessary expenses that come your way as you guys, track that and whatnot. So with that being said, we will go ahead and jump right in.
And again, a PSA, there's the question tab, hopefully that you all see on your bottom right. Feel free to just throw in questions whenever you want. Obviously, we'd like for it to pertain also to analytics, but if you have general questions too, feel free to throw them in.
Yes, most definitely. All right, before I get too deep into this, I hope everybody can see the analytics screen okay here. I will just note that this is in my personal account, so there is some data that may pull perfectly and there's some data that may come through kind of wonky, so bear with me. So first things first, analytics. Once you log into your account, it'll be the third feature on your left-hand side. The first report that you're going to see once you click into analytics is the adoption metrics. This is a pre-built report that UpKeep provides to you guys, and this report is designed to show you how well are you using your system? How well is your team using your system? And are you getting the value and the data that you want out of it? So if we come up here to the top, first one we're looking at is work created versus completed by month. This is a nice snapshot percentage-wise, as well as how decently you're getting things completed. This one's going to show you work orders completed on time versus late. So this is a really good one if you wanted to see a snapshot for aging work orders and how well those are being completed. Down here towards the bottom, you can see this is telling you how many of your work orders have categories assigned to them. Categories can be very important when it comes to reporting and analytics because there may be very specific ones that you need to track and leverage to know what is happening within your workday. Work orders that have a due date, this plays into work orders completed on time. If there's a due date and you pass that due date, obviously that would be a late work order. So obviously I'm leveraging 100% of due dates, which is good. Do your work orders have a piece of equipment assigned to it? Are we just making work orders for now, or should we be tracking what equipment is doing what? Work orders with locations. Do we know where we're going? As we can see here, I'm leveraging this okay, but it looks like about half my work orders don't have a location, so my team is out there working blind. PM, this is going to show you all of your preventative maintenance, your reoccurring work. You know, how much of your work is reactive versus reoccurring. 100% of mine are preventative maintenance. I have no reactive work orders currently. And then how many of your assets have reoccurring maintenance triggers assigned to them? Do you have equipment that should be keeping track of quarterly, yearly, monthly inspections? And if they should, why do we not have these assigned yet? And then as we scroll down a little bit more, we can see some user information. So this is going to show you all time recorded on work orders by a person, full name, date of login, how much time was spent, and a complete count. So this is a really good way for you to see a snapshot of how well you're using your system. If you feel like you would love this snapshot to be better, really encourage you to reach out to your success manager so we can help you dive in to see where we can leverage data better and help get better use of your system. Filters up here at the top will apply to the entire dashboard. So this whole report we're looking at here is a dashboard. So if we were to manipulate this and say within the last 30 days, it's going to show me any work order created in the last 30 days, how well are we leveraging the system with those? If we move on from here and we wanted to drill down a bit more into specifically, let's say I really want to drill into my work orders. So let's go into the work order analysis report. And again, we'll come to work orders, work order analysis. And here, again, we can see entire dashboard. Each one of these white blocks is a report tile specifically looking at specific data. So your filters up here at the top are going to apply to each and every one of these white tiles. So for this one, I want to see any work order, the analysis for the last 90 days. Anything completed in the last 90 days is what I'm setting here.
You will have to refresh every time you adjust the filters. That's
Yep.
that small moment you're seeing Candice complete.
Yep. That helps just apply the filter. And then we can see here in the last 90 days, I've had 19 work orders that were created and open. Sorry, work orders that were completed in the last 90 days, 19. 4 of those were compliant, and the average cycle time was 93.6. Compliancy. If you're leveraging due dates in your system, a work order is considered compliant if it is completed on or before the due date. Anything completed after the due date would be considered out of compliance. So this compliant count is telling me 4 out of my 19 work orders were completed on time. The rest of them were not. Average cycle time is telling you how long a work order has been open for. The average of how long a work order is open from created to completed. In the last 90 days, this is telling me group assigned to, so 1 work order to myself, 1 work order to my coworker Nancy. This is telling me who has completed what work orders. 4 for Nancy, 2 for Billy, 13 for myself. We can see based on priority, and we can see based on category. If we're tracking time, we'll be able to see labor trends, how much labor and time is being spent on reactive work orders versus reoccurring work orders. Your goal is to hopefully have very few reactive work orders because we would hopefully be on top of our preventative maintenance and wanting to make sure that we're not having those types of things happen. So this is a really good way. If you wanted to drill down into any of these, so if we wanted to come to our category and say, all right, I want to know how many work orders were category electrical. If you hover and click, it will then pop a screen open that it's going to show you the work orders that all classify or qualify under this category. So work order was a broken window, description, priority. If we click these very tiny 3 dots right here, we can navigate directly to this work order from this report to drill down and inspect further as to what was going on with it. You can do this for any of these report tiles. So if I wanted to see all of the ones with a high priority, again, hover and show all. And this is going to show me both of those work orders that qualified here. If you noticed, there was also the option to by asset name, by location name. So I want to know by asset how many work orders were considered high priority. So for this one, it's going to tell me 2 work orders. And again, it'll show me those 2 work orders here. If you want to download this, because it's a good idea of what's happening, you can always download. And from here, you can choose how you want this downloaded. CSV, HTML, do you want just an image of it, etc. And then you can download or choose to open this in a browser tab versus download to your computer. All right, any of these can do that. You can download any of these. If you love this entire dashboard and reporting, if we click 3 dots here, download, you can do the same thing. You can download this entire report dashboard so that you can see each of these in a PDF format, etc. Again, we have are filters here that are leveraging the entire dashboard. So if I wanted to drill down further and go into specific asset, I can then pick my asset. In the last 90 days, I'm going to look at the analysis of work orders that have happened. So I'll refresh and apply the filters I've chosen. And we can see that in the last 90 days, I've had 0 work orders for this asset. So for me, that's a great thing. You can choose multiple assets if you wanted to. Again, these 3 assets in the last 90 days and analysis of their work orders. And as we can see here, I have 1 work order that has been completed, and it was open for an average of 6 days. Tells me I worked on it, the priority was none, category was this, and the labor trend was a reactive, took me about a quarter of an hour. These mechanisms, filters, and reading of these dashboards apply to each and every one of these that are here. So work orders is going to break down and give you analysis in different areas of your work order specifically. So it is leveraging looking at your work orders here. If we come to time and cost, this is going to show me how much time and what my cost is on the work orders as I've been completing them. Couple of things to note. I have to make sure that I'm adding cost and time to my work orders to be able to see this data here. So if I'm not tracking that, this report is going to give me very skewed data and tell me that I'm crazy and it doesn't know what I'm talking about. So for this one here, we're looking at last 30 days, again, completed work orders. So I'm going to go ahead and go year to date on this one because we're about halfway through the year. So let's see where we're trending so far. And again, I hit refresh on my filter. Date completed is anything from January 1st to today. And I'm not specifying equipment or location at this time. I'm looking at everything. So we can see here that I have a part cost of about $521 so far. About 10 hours have been worked on work orders, bringing the total cost to about $521. Cost trends, we can see here, this is telling me, are my costs coming from parts? Are they coming from labor, or is it coming from additional costs? So for this one, it's showing me that my highest trend is an additional cost. We can also see a drill down into worker time. So for this one, we had 4¼ hour. So if I was to drill down into this here, it's going to show me the work orders I have worked on, the time spent on each of these work orders, and that work order title. And again, you can drill down further by exploring each one of these if you wanted to, by clicking on it and then navigating to that work order to see if this time is accurate or if it needs to be adjusted. All right, type. This is going to help you dictate what type of work order you want to assess your cost analysis on or your time and cost on. Right now, I'm looking at both reactive and reoccurring work orders. If I wanted to specify and say, I just want to see how much preventative maintenance is costing us, I can see here that we're spending about $396 in parts, and it looks like about 8 hours worked. And if we came down here, we could see the work order that 8 was logged on, and we can see the total cost being spent across these work orders as we go. All right, and then we can reset our filters here and just hit refresh. If you hit that again, it'll refresh it again for you. If we come back to our reports here, and we just kind of go through some of the rest of these, everybody has access to these ones here. These are standard out-of-the-box built reports we provide to all customers. Some things to note is going to depend on how far back you can see data, as well as do you have the ability to customize your own reporting? Some of you might see this blue button here. Some of you may not see this blue button, but you can see all of these reports here. So if you wanted to leverage assets, this is going to drill down into specifically your equipment and your assets. Reliability dashboard. If you guys are tracking whether something goes offline and is down for weeks at a time and that's costing you money, you can come in and drill down into what assets have been offline, how long, total downtime, percent of availability. If you'd like to leverage or explore this one more, definitely reach out to us here at UpKeep so we can help show you how to leverage this a bit more, as well as help you guys drill down into, do you have proper asset availability and schedule set? Currently out of the box, UpKeep thinks that your equipment's running 24/7. That may not be true for all of you. Some of you may be 24/5. If that's the case, there is a way to dictate a schedule for your equipment so that when it does go offline, it's properly tracking the offline time based on the schedule that you have set. So if that's of interest, definitely reach out to us and we can explore this one more. Again, filters here are going to apply. So availability would be in the last 30 days. Location would be any of your locations, and then your equipment name. If you wanted to drill down into a specific piece of equipment, you could pick that, hit refresh, and it would show that I've had 100% availability for this piece of equipment. So I am rocking and rolling.
Hey, Candice. So Kyle asked a really good question, and we were able to
Yeah.
solve it in chat. But I think it's a good general point for the way these dashboards work. Now, each of them have their own filters, but not all the filters are the same, right? So there's different filters for different dashboards, and they relate to different things. So Kyle's question was specifically around the work order analysis tab. So there is an option to filter by asset, but the only way an asset will show there is if there's a completed work order within that time frame that you've specified, right? This is only for completed work orders within the last 30 days that we have here. And it will show the assets in which their work order is completed within that time frame. It's not going to show you all of your assets. So this might pertain to other dashboards that have similar filtering, where there's certain requirements that are sort of prerequisites for them to even be on the dashboard for them to show. So it's not an overall filter. It's going to be specific for each dashboard. So
Correct.
Just a small little nuance that I think is important as you start to look through these.
Yeah. The biggest indicators to really drill down and understand what each dashboard is specifically looking at is your key indicator is going to be right here. Okay. So this is specifically looking at anything completed in the last 30 days. So as Zach stated, I have to have a work order in my system that has an asset tied to it that has been completed in the last 30 days in order for it to show up here on this analysis report. Again, this is an out-of-the-box one that we do provide to all customers, so it's kind of a pre-built one. But those are the nuances. So in analysis, it's date completed that it's looking at here. So if you know you have a work order with an asset tied to it, but that's not completed yet, it wouldn't be expected that that would show up here. Work order aging. This is kind of a good one. It may be worth looking at. Just real quickly. So this one is looking at any work order that has a due date in the last 30 days that has not been completed yet. So this is a good one that would be helpful to look at if you know you have a work order and that piece of equipment is tied to it, but it's not completed yet. It should be showing up in this report here, as long as that work order is open and the due date was in the last 30 days. We could go back to the last 90 days. And again, this is looking at anything in the last 90 days that has a due date and what that average work order age is. So we have 9, and my average work order age is about 18 days. So mine are kind of old. And then we can see each person that has a count of these incomplete work orders. we can also see here the specific assets, the equipment that have these incomplete orders. Now, this may not be 100% of all of them. This may be kind of a screenshot here. So I would definitely encourage, if you wanted to, either expand this so that you can see a bit more of it, or come and drill down into what is happening here. So you can drill down a little bit further to see more specifics. If you're like, I know I've got more than these, come drill down into them and you should hopefully see more. With that being said, I'm going to do a pivot here and we are going to switch over to working off of, let's go the status report dash here. First, yeah.
Yeah, Candice, quick question. Scott says, when I click view, I do not see anything titled reliability dashboard. How is this accessed? Is that only available for Business Plus?
No, reliability dashboard, I believe is
Maybe
professional.
it's under.
It's Pro and Business Plus, I believe.
Okay.
I do believe we have a few of you that have joined today that are on the starter plan. So if that's the case, and you're interested in that one, definitely come talk to us because we can, talk about getting you access to that or, showing you how it would work better and see if that's something that would be of interest to you. But Professional and Business Plus have that one. Starter should have most everything else. And then a couple of other things to note. On the starter plan, you have the ability to dig into your data for the last 30 days. So you can go from today back 30 days. It's a rolling 30. So when you're looking at, say, the status report one here, you should see a little note at the top that says right here, you can see back 30 days from today, and this should permanently say in the last 30 days. If you're on the professional plan, that means that you can see back for all time, but you don't have access to this blue button here, which is where I'm about to go into after this. So definitely stick around because I want to show you how this could be very, very useful to a lot of you, because these custom out of the ones that we've given you are great, but you may want to drill down just a little bit further, and maybe there's very specific data that you want to build out and see that we're not giving you technically out of the box. So for this one, let's go to, let's say from here. To create a custom dashboard, you can do this one of two ways. You can say, I really like these work order status board here. I just want to elaborate on it and add some stuff to it. So if you come to these three dots and we click explore from here, what this is going to do is essentially open and unlock how we pre-built this dashboard for you guys. So you now have a glimpse and a copy of what we have pre-built out, and you can tweak it from here. First thing you do after you explore a dashboard, number one thing, always, 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 come to this gear icon right next to run and save. Save, save, save. Those are your three magic words to yourself throughout the entire analytics, everything. And you can do two things. You can either have a dashboard already built for yourself, or you could choose to build a new dashboard with this copy of a report tile on it. So we're going to make a new dashboard, and we're going to call this, we'll go work order category. Nope, work order status. Apologies. And I'm going to have this shared to my private folder. I don't want to share it with my team yet because I got to make some tweaks to it. So I don't need them to see and get all confused. So right now we're going to choose my folder and we'll hit save. And you can see here that it popped a good job. It's copied. So now let's go immediately to the dashboard that we just made, where we can now tweak and make this drill down into what we want to see more so than what we've given you out of the box. So this is our custom dash. We're calling it work order status. The first report tile we have is a graph that is showing us, based on color and percentage, the different statuses of work orders and how many have been completed within those statuses or created within those statuses. You can see here that this says save and cancel. This is how you know your dashboard is unlocked and able to be edited. Now, we made the dashboard, we copied the file to here. As I preached a minute ago, save, save, save. So first thing I want everybody to do is hit save so that this dashboard is now locked in place. And then we'll hit the three dots and we'll hit edit dashboard. We now have a copy saved, so at least if you accidentally exit out and forget to save, you'll lose any progress you make from this point forward, but anything previous to the save would still be there. All right, let's drill down into this beautiful graph here. So if we come and click on the three dots on the report tile, whole screen is a dash, white beautiful picture is a tile. So we want to edit this report tile. And this is going to pop open essentially what we saw a moment ago when we copied this, except for this is where you get to make your edits. So from here, for right now, let's just minimize the visualization because we really just want to focus in on, you know, what data that we're seeing and whatnot. So a couple of things to note. First thing is this is specifically looking at work orders. When it comes to custom dashboards and your reports, you need to think about, I'm going to come to one I have created here for just a moment so I can show you guys this. You need to think about how and what data you want to report on, okay? So when you make a new dashboard, you're going to notice that along the side here, each one of these is representative of each feature you have here on the left-hand side. Depending on what data you want to see, depends on what feature of data you're going to drill down into. Good way to think about this. I want to see all of the work orders not completed for my forklift. I'm not going to go to the asset feature because this is just going to tell me specifics about my equipment. Asset's going to allow me to drill down into what's the useful life, how much was it purchased at, when did we bring it online, things of that nature. If you want to see work that has been done or completed for a specific piece of equipment, you're going to go work order feature. So by clicking this, it drills us down into specifically the ability to see what work orders are aging for my forklift. So with that being said, I'm going to pop back to the one that we made. And we'll go from there. All right, so because we want to see work orders, the status of them, let's go ahead and let's drill down into a specific asset. So we're going to, if you haven't already, unlock your dash. And where you guys just were, we're going to come into the actual report tile. And here's where we're going to come through and dictate what it is we want to see. So we can see here that 12 fields, objects have been selected to be looked at. Now, some of these are filters and some of these are displayed data. So for this, we're displaying strictly the statuses and the count for each status. So if we pop down on this one here, let's say for this, we also wanted to add in, I want to know specifically each user, right? So I want to see assigned to. I want to know how many are completed, how many are open, and how many are open project pending per person that works on my team. So if you note, I searched user, and this narrowed down the giant list for me so that I can see my options are assigned to, completed by, who created these, who has requested these. We want to go with assigned to. You'll note here you have a couple of options. If you hover, this allows you to pivot data within your display, or you can filter by this specific object. Filters, displayable data. So let's go, we're just going to display assigned to because we want to see the name. We don't necessarily want to filter by somebody at this point. So now that we've added in assigned to user, we're going to hit run. And this is going to refresh the report and give you a snapshot. And you can see here that I chose work order assigned to user account type. So what I did is basically said how many admins, technicians, or limited technicians. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to see by specific worker. So what we're going to do is in one of two ways. You can click this icon and hit remove, or simply come to here, unclick what you highlighted blue, and you can see that it's removed it from here. So we know user didn't work. So if we come to work order and we come to full name, that's what we want to see. So if we were to search full, we want to see assigned to full name. Now you can see we're filtering by this because if you remember, we copied over the report tile /dash to hours. So all of those filters at the top came with it, which is showing you that it's applying to this report tile because it's listed here in the top. So if we add assigned to full name, just click it once. We want to add it as a data set we can see. So we'll hit run. And now we can see specific people who have been assigned that have 1 open, 4 completed, etc., etc. So then now that we've hit run, let's go ahead and save this just so we can see what it's going to look like on the front side. So if we save, it's going to tell us that it's not showing us the data. So we want to go back in. And this time, we're going to assess our visualization. If you're having trouble seeing your data, it's generally because the visualization you have chose doesn't support the data and counts that you have chosen. So we were originally looking at a pie chart. Because we've added in assigned to full name, the pie chart doesn't work because it's only one dimension, one measure that works. So let's come to just a quick table and see how this works. There we go. So now we can see a table version of this. Wonderful. Let's go ahead, let's pivot our data so that our worker names are across the top here. So if we come, you can do this one of two ways. You can click this gear icon here and hit pivot, or you can come to here, search full name, and you can hit the double arrows to pivot. Once you pivot, hit run. And now you can see our visualization is this column is current status. Across the top is our worker name, and below is their count of each status type. Let's go ahead and let's maybe tweak our visualization just a little bit more. Maybe we're not loving this table view. Let's see what a column gives us. There we go. So in the column view, we can see each person is by a color, and then we can see the specific statuses. Now, what we don't see is count, right? So we can see count down here in our data set, but we're not seeing the count unless we hover or look at this sidebar here. If we come to edit on our visualization, and we come to, let's go with stacked. Now we've changed how this looks, and now we can see for open, each person is in a stacked form versus a side-by-side. And if we come to values, let's go ahead and turn value labels on, and let's pop total labels on. Now you can see the count displayed in the column with the total displayed up here at the top. So we can see that Billy is blue. She's done one that is open. Candice has one open. Nancy has one open. And we have 4 completed and 4 open with project pending, but not assigned to anyone. If you wanted to tweak even more, you can come to your XY values and you can choose to change your accesses. So if you wanted names up this side and you wanted count along the bottom, you could do that. If we come to series, here's where you can change specific colors of what you see. So I don't really like blue for Billy. Let's change her to purple. And I'm not loving, oh, that I just clicked out of that. Don't like green for myself. Let's make me yellow. Perfect. All right. So now we can come back to plot and you can choose to, center your legends, spacing, and if you wanted percentages, you could add percentages. So now if we hit run, now let's hit save. Now let's hit save again. Save, 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 save. So that, because you will accidentally forget to save, and then you're going to email your customer success manager, not a very happy customer, and we're going to have to pull some magical rescues out of our hats. So now that we've saved this has been locked in time. And what we're looking at is essentially the work order statuses of anything due in the last 30 days, completed the status, and who has been assigned to each of those. Couple of things to note about filters, since we're talking about filters here. We can see that each one of these filters are up here at the top. This filter will apply to every report tile you build on this entire dashboard. There are 2 ways you can filter. You can add a filter to the entire dashboard and choose to exclude specific report tiles it does not apply to. Or you can specifically filter down your report tile and use no dashboard filters. If you use both, totally possible. Just note that you're double filtering. So if you were to add, work order due date last 30 days to this report tile here, and then choose to set this to 90 days for the entire dash, this work order status report is going to give you an error. You're going to get that error because you've already dictated that you wanted this report to specifically show you 30 days already. So let me just show you a visualization of this real quick. So if we delete this filter from the dash and I come to my report tile, and it takes a moment to load.
While this is loading, just wanted to confirm the reliability dashboard and useful life and downtime is only available on Business Plus.
Oh, okay.
So that dashboard, along with the components that power it, like downtime, useful life, that's available on Business Plus only.
Got it.
And then we have another question from Jean, but I can ask that when we're done with this piece too, and then maybe open it up for some Q&A.
Yep. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to add a new visualization. You guys don't have to follow this one. I just want to show you the filtering effects. So if I was to come here and go with create a date, and I want to see it, and I'm going to go ahead and filter by already show me in the last 30 days. And if I went count here and hit run, This report tile is going to show me any work order created in the last 30 days, specifically in the work order count. So specific date, work order count. Now, if I come here and we add a filter of due date, and we say due date in the last 90 days, and we refresh and come down. Good. So in this regards, this one is, and we hit save. So we chose work order due date, year to date. And then see how this one is showing an issue here. This is giving me an issue because I preset this tile to show me only the last 30 days, anything created in the last 30 days. But what this filter at the top is dictating is any work order that was due in year to date. So the reason I'm getting errors is one, lack of due dates, probably on a lot of my work orders. And two, this one specifically, if we unlock and look at it, is showing us, just one more time, we said to only show us what has been created in the last 30 days. So the system's having a hard time understanding, which it's like, that doesn't make sense. I can't show you things for all year because you're telling me to only look at 30 days. So in this case, what you would want to do is either remove the 30-day filter from this tile, or click the three dots on this filter to the dash, edit, tiles to update. Here's where you can decide what tiles you have built that this dashboard filter will apply to. So because that one is already set at 30 days to look at, I'm going to say don't pay attention to that tile down there. Only pay attention to the one at the top. So then we're going to refresh this and we're going to hit save. We're going to see last 90 days. And if we come here and go year to date and hit refresh, it's still giving me a trouble issue, but we've been working a lot in the system, which leads me into some best practices. With that being said, a couple of things. If you're getting this error a lot, you're going to want to remember data. You have to have data to be able to pull or drill down into the data. If you know you have the data and you just made that change to the data, did you allow for about 2 hours for the system to reflect and make that change in reporting? Our reporting system is as real time as we can get it, but it takes upwards of about 2 hours for the system to fully sync any changes made and for Google Looker to pull that in and reflect that in the report that you have built. If it's been about 2 hours and you're still not seeing your data, it could be that maybe you've pulled in a wonky sort of set that you're looking at, may need to exclude some things of that nature. With that, I am going to open the floor for some questions. We got about 10 minutes, so I would love to get some questions answered for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, I have one from Gene here, but before I jump into that real quick, I think a great note that Candice just mentioned too is that this is powered from the rest of the system, right? These reports are not just going to show you insights if there's no insights to provide, and that's really going to be powered by completing work orders, putting in downtime events, completing the cost analysis that might be important for you, completing preventive maintenance measures, tracking hours, labor count, stuff like that. So the more you're investing on the actual inputs, the more insights you're going to be able to pull out, right? So that's really what powers the whole system on the back end of analytics. So if the rest of the system isn't being adopted as deeply as others, then you're not going to really drive in a lot of insights from it. Well, with that PSA, Gina had a really good question. They asked if the equipment is, basically the question was if we have a parent asset with child assets and downtime is tracked on the child asset, will the whole system show is down? Or if not, if there's ways to be able to build a report that will provide other deeper insights like that.
Yeah.
Do you have visibility into that? Do you know how the structure of those systems work as it relates to reliability?
Yeah. So, to my understanding, reliability is dictated by each specific piece of equipment, depending on your child assets. So, if you have an overall conveyor belt system, and that is the entire system, let's say your child asset is the conveyor belt, your grandchild asset is the ball bearings and the wheels that spin it. If you were to mark something offline, you would go with the parent in this situation because it is the overall piece of equipment. If you have a parent asset that is simply a placeholder, but your equipment is each an additional child, grandchild, etc. type of equipment, you would pick that one specifically and mark that one as down. And so it applies to a singular piece of equipment at a time. So it's a one-to-one. So if the parent asset and all of the child go down, you would want to mark probably the parent as the one that went down so that it's calculating for the entire piece of equipment, I would suppose. But if you wanted to know how long each portion of that was off, you would mark each piece of equipment under the parent as offline, and it will calculate individually for each piece of equipment. Yes, we can build reporting on this. It is not one that comes out of the box, but it is one we can definitely drill down to in the custom dashboard area by going through assets and then drilling down into the children assets and the availability of them.
Gene, does that help answer your question? I know you can't speak back, but let us know in the chat. I see some thumbs up. Hopefully
Yay!
that was from you. And please, anyone else has any questions? If it doesn't relate to analytics, that's fine too. If you have questions in general, we really appreciate all of you who stayed their time and went through this breakdown. But feel free to send your questions or thoughts into the questions tab.
Yeah. I will just cover a few more things while we wait for some questions. Some things that are very helpful to a lot of you is who can see reports. That's probably helpful. Right now, out of the box, admins and limited admins can see reporting within UpKeep. When it comes to a report, you have or a dashboard, you have the option to keep it private for yourself, or you can share it with the rest of your users in your system, be it other admins, limited admins. The way to do that is if we come here and we come to this work order, we would hit share, and then I would hit anyone at my site, and this is going to allow any admin or limited admin to then come to reports, custom, shared, and now see this dash that I've built and be able to access and review. The other option you have, if you're on Business Plus, you have access to custom statuses, custom roles, where you can specify and build out a specific custom role for your technicians that allows them access to review analytics reporting. Again, that's a B plus feature. It's on Business Plus, but that is an option that would give them the ability to click on analytics, click on custom, and come to a specific dashboard to see what they needed to see. If you don't want to do that, and that is not an option, your other option is most all of these reports can be downloaded and sent to anyone. So you could go PDF or CSV. You can also choose to have it fit to the dash, etc. If you're on Business Plus and have custom dashboards, you also have the access to schedule delivery. This is very, very helpful in regards to getting reporting to your upper management or anybody who needs to see it on a set, timely fashion. So this is where you can dictate how often this email goes out, who it's going to, the format that they're going to receive it in. You can also apply specific filters. So if you want to show them specifically the last 90 days, but you always look at year to date, you could do that here. You can also click on advanced options and choose to expand all tables and rows, which will, if this capped off at 20 in my image, but there was actually 100 rows, if I did not choose this, the image I will get on the email is going to be capped at 20. So always expand rows so you can see all 100. And then you can choose to send a test of how this will look. Anybody with an email can be added to receive this report. They do not need to be a user in UpKeep to receive this report, and you can add as many people to receive this report as possible. You can also set up multiple schedules on a single report. So as we can see here, this one is coming to me daily at 6 a.m. But let's say I only need this to go to myself and I actually need it to go monthly and the 14th. So now I can choose to save this, and now there's one going out daily, and now there's one going out monthly to who it needs to go to. You can edit these, delete these. You can also do a send now if somebody said they didn't get it. You can always do a test as well before you schedule. Those are kind of the big ones in regards to who can see this and whatnot. So I will kind of go over some best practices again real quick here. Some things
One
to
other
note.
question.
Yeah.
One quick question was from Neil. I would love to be able to edit asset fields in the dashboard without having to click on each individually to update. Any updates to when this might be a feature in the future? So I'm assuming clicking into assets or being able to edit them inline on the analytics page is the ask here. Not something we currently support, right? And not something I've heard often, but again, like I think it's a great ask. It's definitely something we can look into. But any insights into that,
Yes.
Candice?
Sure can.
Okay.
So your fastest way to update most everything with an UpKeep to save yourself headache and time is going to be import and export. For assets, when you export a list of your assets, if you have custom fields on your assets and data in those assets, that field will come out on your export. And you can add or change data in those columns, re-import that file, and update that data quickly and efficiently. You can choose to come to import, export, click your drop down, make sure you pick your correct feature. So we want to go assets, and we can choose to export a whole list. Give me every single asset I have. Or if you're like, I really only need to update like 10, right? I just need to update anything that's over here at my bakery in Times Square. Great. So then I would come to the 3 dots on my asset page once I've filtered by those, and I would hit export filtered view. This is going to give me a CSV file that has just these 6 assets listed on it with all of the columns of data, where I can then choose to update specifically those columns, the custom columns with the data that needs to be in there, re-import this, and these 6 assets will now be updated with any data that I've changed in those columns on that file. Parts and inventory at this time, there is custom fields for parts, but it is still a one-to-one. So it's a manual change on this one. We haven't been able to get custom fields for the export on this one yet, but I do know that it's on its way. They're working on getting that out. So assets, you can get custom fields. Parts and inventory, you'd have to go in and one by one change them. But we can build a report looking specifically at those custom fields for those parts, and you can make your life easier in regards to looking at that report, clicking on the part in the report and going straight to it to make the change and coming back, versus having to come to parts, filter, search for it, scroll, click, edit, etc. So there are some easier ways to be able to do that, especially if you have the custom dashboard ability. Any other questions that we have? If you didn't think of any at this time, don't panic. You're going to see our It's a good time to go to that one now. I'll show you. These are your amazing customer success managers. So my lovely face, Candice. A lot of you know who Brian is, as you've worked with him quite a bit. I know some of you here are Brian's customers, so he's super stoked you came. And then we also have Ryan. I know some of you have probably worked with Ryan as well. So the three of us are your go-tos for questions. If you think of anything after this, you're welcome to reach out to us and say, hey, I had questions about this. We'd also love to help deep dive if you guys had more questions in reporting. If you guys wanted to maybe do a little bit more into how do I specifically design a specific type of report, that is always something that we're happy to help you with as well. We mostly wanted to do this training so you guys could see and understand quite a few of the nuances that come with it and really hone into you guys that when it comes to reporting, you have to think about the data that it is that you're wanting to see and be very specific about it. So if I want to assess work orders or work done, you will always go with a work order report. If I want to drill down into specifics about sections or pieces of equipment, you would choose any other feature to build a report on because that's going to drill down into the specific data or details about a piece of equipment or a part, etc. So I think those are the biggest things, and then how the filters play into each other and whatnot. So if you can never, I would hope you could never get a hold of one of us. That would be a very sad day, and I'm sure Zach would come talk to me at that point. If you ever have an issue or if you have an urgent issue and one of your success managers are out of office or we happen to be busy, we definitely encourage you guys to reach out to our technical support team. You can reach them by call, email, text within your account. If you guys aren't sure, give me just a sec. If you come to contact us, bottom left of your account, this is going to, well, it might. It cut me off. Oh, no, it didn't. It looked like everybody was frozen. Okay. If you come to contact us, this will pop open a chat box where you could ask a question directly to the technical support team. So that is an easy way while in the system that you could get a hold of them. Otherwise, they can be contacted by phone, email, or you're welcome to shoot us an email and we can help get you in touch with support as well. So, okay, so with that being said, everybody that came today, I super, super appreciate it. And I'm glad you guys could attend to get some questions answered. After this, you're going to get a copy of this recording that is yours to access for reviewing. You'll also receive a survey I put together. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on how you feel this went. Are there other topics that you would love for us to deep dive in this sort of fashion? You know, the new PMs that have come out, multi-line parts and inventory, things of that nature. So definitely give us your feedback. Let us know your thoughts. Reach out to us anytime you have questions or would like to deep dive some more reports. Each of your success managers are going to follow up after this and just check in to see how you felt it went, additional questions, maybe schedule a meeting to just touch base with each of you. So be on the lookout for those. And I hope everybody had a fabulous day. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks all. Thank you, Candice. Great job.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye all.